This chair is so uncomfortable, it's rank.
It doesn't look the best.
It is not comfortable. My body.
Hello, Joseph.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah,
Good.
been had a lovely 5 days off, and I'm now
Yep.
back to work.
Awesome.
How are you?
Yeah, I've had a lovely 5 days on. Right, what is this that we've come back to then?
So it's 2002 Mazda MX5 Mark 2.5, 1.8. Motorsport Electronics ME442 ECU with built-in wideband.
Nice.
It's also running their turbo kit, which is the G19 cast manifold,
Yeah, nice.
which are very, 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 very good manifolds.
Yeah, it looks great, yeah.
TD04 turbo, 640cc Bosch injectors.
Never need them on a TD04, but yep.
Yeah, but they're just better than the yellows. And
Yeah, for sure.
yellows.
Consistency.
But yeah, 2.5-inch downpipe, mid pretty much to the back box, and it's got stock back box.
Yep.
So yeah, just doing some setup. This is for a company called EB Machinery, who do a lot of big machinery like CNC machine stuff like that.
Petrol heads, though, aren't they?
Yeah, from the conversations we were having earlier, big petrol heads. But basically, they have a few I think they've got like 5 MX5s, I think he said, or 4 of them.
4 or 5, yeah.
And yeah, sometimes they'll take their customers on track days and obviously give them cars to smash around. And this is just one they've been doing. So obviously it needs setting up. The rest of them, I think, are NA as far as I know.
Okay. So
this is the first one they're turboing just to see
what it does.
Yeah, kind of what they're like.
Okay.
Obviously, Motorsport Electronics have, they said to them, well, who do we get to tune it? They've recommended us, so here we are doing tuning things.
Yeah, well, for all intents and purposes, it looks to be done right, using the right bits.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's what I said to, can't think of his name now.
I want to say Richard.
Richard.
Good old Dick.
Yeah. We did one for a gentleman called Lee, which is on the channel. I will link it below somewhere. And it was much of a similar story. His was on a 221 with wideband from memory, rather than the 442. But he used all the same turbo kit, and it was lovely to tune. Everything just worked and did the job. So hopefully this will be much of the same. But never want to speak too soon with MX5s.
Yeah, they are usually much problems. So, so what's the plan? And you've done a base?
I've already been through, so basically it was already base mapped. I've gone through it and just checked everything. I've already put my ignition time and profile into it, which is I use, obviously I've developed it over the years of tuning these. So I've already stuck that in because it's a good starting point. Basically just checked through all the settings. Rev limit was set a little bit higher than I normally go in these.
What was it set to?
78, nearly 8,000 RPM.
Perfect.
If you want the engine in pieces, yeah.
I always want the engine in pieces, mate.
I normally set these at about 7.3 and then have the limiter starting to cut in about 100 RPM before. So you get this
a little bit of a bounce over.
Yeah, well, it's solid power to like 70, 200 RPM, and then it starts to kind of fade away and hit the limiter.
Yeah.
Or fade away as the limiter comes in. Tested all the boost solenoid, obviously through the ECU, make sure that's working. Set all my overboost pressures and turned off all the stuff I don't need, like closed loop fuel control and stuff, just while we're setting it up.
Yep.
Because obviously I'll turn that all on at the end once I'm done. So ready to set ratios and start doing some rips, I think.
Okay, cool. Let's do that then.
Awesome.
is a pretty good start, isn't it?
That isn't bad.
For an MX5, usually they've fallen to pieces by now, so it's done one whole run and it's not blown up. I'm calling that a win. Let's go on.
Yeah, no, it's done really well. I mean, it's done 205 horsepower and 227 newton meters. Obviously, with some of the bits I've already done, it's kind of a bit. I'm trying to preempt a few things, and
yeah, it's not like it's just running on a stock standard balls base map, is it?
Yeah, exactly. No, this is like, I mean, my ignition time in profile, for example, I've developed from however many years of tuning these. So, like, don't get me wrong, I can push them further on it, but
you start safe though, don't you?
Yeah, I'll normally put it in, yank a few degrees out, just so I know I'm safe.
Yeah. If you can hear that, it's Joseph doing bum toots.
Definitely not. I don't know what that is. But yeah, the only other obvious thing is it was horrendously rich.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it, you could smell it.
Oh, I can definitely smell it.
It was rank.
So, but yeah.
Okay, so have you got AFR? You got wideband, didn't you? What's the AFR like? Still rich?
Super rich.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
We have had a brief conversation. To be fair, the camera was actually recording, so I don't know whether you're going to include that or not.
Okay.
But can you, just in case you don't, do you want to explain why it's running rich?
So, one thing I actually missed is, so basically the injectors in this are Bosch 640cc. They are 640cc at 3 bar of pressure. These run a 3.5 bar pressure regulator, fuel pressure regulator. So effectively at 3.5 bar, these will be more than 640cc.
Well, you're adding
because
like
there's more
16% more pressure,
yeah,
aren't you?
so the injector's open for the same amount of time, but because there's more pressure, you get more fuel through it. And there was some data that was inputted or
incorrectly inputted.
Incorrectly input.
Yep.
I can't even speak today.
Impotent.
You can tell I've had some time off.
So, okay.
So basically the reference pressure on the injectors was set incorrectly and I actually missed it. So as soon as we did the run, I looked at the logs, then looked at that and was like, so the reference value or the fuel pressure value is correct. The reference value on the injectors is wrong. So I've now corrected that.
Sorry to interrupt.
And my plan before anything
to rip it again with a correct.
Is just to rip it again
That's what
and do a like-for-like comparison.
How rich was it?
Like in the tens.
Oh right, so just by correcting that fuel in.
Sorry, when you said how rich, I should have said like Bill Gates.
If it's in the tens, even if correcting that fuel in still has it running rich at like high tens, low 11s, we'd expect to see more power now anyway.
Correct, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, this is doing well though. I mean, the most boost we saw was like 0.54 bar.
So there's plenty of room to turn it up then.
It looks like a very efficient setup.
IATs, good.
17.
Perfect. With an ambient of 15, that's brilliant. So let's step the gas bag in.
Oh, it is 15, yeah.
Yeah, it's literally 2 above ambient.
Yeah, so
obviously it's the first pass, but
yeah.
Cool. Well, let's see what it does with less fuel.
Let's do it.
That's progress.
Yeah. So yeah, it kind of did. I'm not going to say exactly what I thought and sound all big-headed, but it did exactly what I was
exactly what we said it was going to do.
Yeah, it did exactly what I hoped it would do. So we've only gained 2 horsepower at peak and 11 newton meters at peak, but I'll drop a graph on the screen probably here.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
If I'm pointing in the right direction. And yeah, and I'll overlay the runs just so you can see. But
in a mid-range, especially between like 3 and 5.5, it's gained quite well, especially torque-wise as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's an area that I really wanted to kind of smooth out, and it's already done a load of that for me, which is good. So, but yeah, that's not bad. So basically, where we're going to now, I'm going to look through the log. I mean, the run starts a lot better AFR wise. It does drop rich into the very high 10s, whereas the last run it was very low 10s. It does recover and come up to about 11.8 AFR, which is where we tend to run these, obviously because they're naturally aspirated converted to turbo.
Yeah, like a little bit more fuel.
Yeah, so obviously you want extra, a little extra fuel, not just for aiding combustion, but cooling the cylinders as well. But it does then drop from 11.8 down to like low 11s. So my plan pretty much now is just put some time into the fuel in, get the fuel profile nice, and see kind of what graph we end up with, what the power delivery is like, and what kind of numbers we're making.
Yeah, and then look at boosting timing.
To be fair, the timing currently I'll probably leave where it is. I mean, I've ripped a couple of degrees out over what I normally do on my timing profile because it's a track car, so it is literally going to get beaten in lap after lap. And from what Richard was saying is they'll send someone out in the car, it will go out and do 10 laps maybe.
Come back and
they'll
go out
in
with a
and then
driver.
somebody else will take it out. So I don't want to be too aggressive.
No, that's fair
plus
enough.
he was saying about the difference between them having like 130 brake and 200 brake, and I'm standing there thinking, well, we make more than 200 brake, mate. Yeah. So it's kind of we're already.
Well, I suppose given the type of vehicle, if we can run this at like 0.6 bar happily, producing like 5 over ambient consistently, run after run, with a lesser timing profile, can't really ask much more than that from a track car. That is kicked in, can you?
That is the whole thing. Is you can turn the boost up, you can make more power, but efficiency is key. And obviously, like I've said to him, I try and not run TD04s personally because they're very small. So I tend to go for like a 2860 Garrett, which is larger, laggier, but they make a lot more torque, and you can make a lot more horsepower at lower boost because they're a bigger unit and they flow a lot better. Equally, I mean, like Lee's one, the setup for track with these is amazing on a TD04. Like they're really, really punchy, but it's just trying to keep it efficient because it is going to get caved in. Like on a day session at Snetterton, it'll get caved in pretty much all day.
Yeah, could easily be doing 50, 60, 70 laps in a day.
Well, he's given me a number that's a bit higher than that.
Well then.
Apparently, so so reliability is key. But yeah, I'm going to put some time into the fuel profile and then we'll see where we go.
Cool.
A few moments later.
Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning.
How are we?
A little tired, but all right, you?
Yeah, likewise, yeah.
Yeah, it's day 2.
Yeah, it is day 2. Well, to be fair, yesterday was kind of only half a day, wasn't it?
It wasn't half a day.
Yeah, but we've made some good progression.
Yeah, so basically yesterday we finished up at 217, 248 newton meters. Started winding some boost into it, coming into like 0.65 bar-ish, tapering off to 0.55 bars where I left it.
Yeah.
Which was on that pass. And from, I think there's been about 3 pulls since I last said about anything. And yeah, just been kind of tweaking it really, but at the minute the main thing I'm working on is the fuel profile. Started to put a little bit of ignition timing in as well to try and lose the dip, which is at kind of its worst, around 4,000 RPM. But that's kind of where we're sitting right now. Yeah, I did another revision last night, which I've already put on the ECU. Just taking a bit more fuel out because she's still a bit rich. And working some timing a little bit.
Okay. So I can't remember what we were saying yesterday, to be honest with you. We did a conversation before I left, but that was not on camera. Obviously now you've added boost, I think IATs have come up a bit, haven't they? Yeah,
I mean, we got to a point where we were seeing like 32, 33 degrees, but obviously...
Which with a 15 ambient is still acceptable?
It's still acceptable, yeah. I mean, I was doing pull after pull as well, so it wasn't like I was letting it cool down and then doing a pass, and that's the kind of IATs we were getting. But my plan pretty much is probably to leave the boost level roughly where it is because we're making very good power.
And obviously
for the boost level, and also because of what it's going to be used for, I don't think there's going to be much need to go a lot higher. Like if I can just work the
It's not worth slamming in another 0.2 of a bar to gain 15 more brake.
Well, I can probably do that on
timing
and fuel. So
It's the excess heat that comes with it. It's not a worthwhile trade-off for this application, is it?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so it's got its revision on, so we just need to stop gas bagging and basically run it and see what it does.
Yeah, I'm just going to warm it up. Just give it you know, just working through the gears slowly, just to get some heat and everything. And then yeah, we'll do a pass, get some data, see where we're at, and move from there.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So that's not too shabby really, is it, to be honest?
Yeah, no, we're up to 226, 260 foot-pound. Graph has smoothed out, not as much as I want,
But getting there.
yeah, I mean, we've gained, we've gained some mid-range and upper, so that's fine.
Yeah, a bit more in the mid-range from the graph between
I'm
sort
literally
of.
just running through at the minute, just doing a revision, just trimming a little more fuel out. I'll probably leave it.
It's still a little bit rich in places, is it?
Yeah, I'm probably going to leave it a tad richer than I would anyway,
Just because of track.
just because it's going to get caved in continuously.
Given the lack of pushing that's being done,
Yes.
it's actually really respectable. I mean, they're respectable Mx5 numbers anyway. I know that obviously some of the late generations and a good one can make 240, 250, which is really being lent on.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Probably not with that turbo, but
We've got, I mean, there's plenty we've done at over 240. Mine was, I mean, at one point, obviously this was mine was done pre-YouTube, so there was actually a point where mine was near 300 horsepower because I changed the turbos and my new one was just so much more efficient, even though I set the actuator the same, with running the same boost control. I think I was tuning it, it developed an exhaust leak, so I stopped the session. We were around 250. Slapped the new turbo on with the new turbo kit because my brother over at Woods Fab built a kit for that. I'll drop a link to his socials in the description as well. So I put his kit on with the turbo I supplied, and the first pass was like 290 brake and 260 foot-pound. And
lucky to keep rods.
yeah, the rod was definitely more than stroked at that point. So
So what I was saying was it's pretty respectable numbers to be leaving on for a car that is trying to make power. For some MX-5s, I know we'd expect to see maybe 10, 15 brake more if you were chasing power, but given that there's still fueling to be done and timing to be done, and there's a very sad lack of boost, it's doing really well.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like I said, it's doing better than without being that guy, better than I expected, because most of these we deal with are a nightmare. Like they're literally hashed together on someone's driveway.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest gripes, and I have got to do a video on this, one of my biggest gripes is people don't speak to me about it, but I'm the one that wants to tune the car.
Yeah. A lot of the time people, just to defend people very briefly, I think a lot of the time people build the car, then approach.
work out the tuning.
Well, not only that, but then approach, for example, a lot of the ones that we end up doing come directly recommended from ME who make the ECU. So a lot of the time I think they've built the car, they've bought the ECU, they've got all the kit, they've thrown it all together, and then they've spoken to the ECU manufacturer in order to get base maps and stuff like that, and then they've asked for a recommendation. At that point the car's already built.
Yeah.
But this car is a big advocate for those of you wishing to do this, that using the right parts will tend to lead to the right outcome. Most of the time, not always, but most of the time.
Sure. I mean, like I said, that's just the difficult bit is, we've had a lot of cases where people buy this ECU but buy it from somewhere else, and obviously, like I said to customer with this, he bought it from ME. I've got no issue with that. But there are other people who sell them. They use their own base maps. They firmware update them to, there's a very obscure version of firmware that's got a lot of bugs in it. I mean, it was, from speaking to the guys at ME, it was available for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yet a couple of companies just thrown this on ECUs willy-nilly, and it is literally a nightmare to work with. So as soon as I see it on that, I have to then upgrade it. And that's like I said to ME, like I've got to do something, because I end up spending a lot more time just trying to get it right So I've actually got a good starting point because other people are doing sort of weird and wonderful stuff. And like I said to them, it just gets frustrating because if people came to me, it would all be, you know, a bit more streamlined. But you know, you're probably right. You know, there's been, I mean, I know plenty of people who build a car and then go, oh, right, I need someone to tune it. And really, you want to, especially when...
In an ideal world, from our perspective, we want to be there from the ground up.
Of course. I mean, especially with, I know with big power builds, it's a lot different because you're actively looking for someone who can make the numbers, who specialises in
and give the advice that you need on parts and blah, blah, blah.
With this sort of stuff, it's a lot different because you can buy, there's so many companies out there who do manifolds.
You can go on to Google and search MX5 Turbo and come up with 1,000 forums of people that have got DIYs how to do it. Everyone's using different parts.
Plenty of guys. I mean, there's plenty of guys, especially on YouTube, who aren't mechanics. They're not tuners, and they're just enthusiasts, and they've built some really good. You know,
I've watched a few myself.
You know, done a lot of the tuning themselves to kind of half get it all right before taking it to a tuner to be finished, and they've done some really good builds. But it just depends. You know, obviously I work on a lot of cars, like tune a lot of cars, and it's, for me, obviously I want to get them in, get the best result for everybody and get it out, and get the next one in. Not saying that I want to rush, because that's why, you know, we've done a bit yesterday, going to do a bit more today, take our time with it. Tomorrow, make sure the cold start's good. But yeah, it's just trying to achieve the best, I think, and do it the most cost-effective way, which is another thing, you know, with my M4, for example. There was a load of bits I wanted to develop and bits I wanted to do. So rather than go out and buy a product that works, I've gone, right, well, we'll develop these turbos. Then, you know, I had issues. Then we developed another set of turbos. All of this cost money. And I could have bought a set of TTEs or Pures or Litcos and done it once.
BT Dubs, if you want M4 turbos, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, we do sell hybrid turbos for the M4. Video coming soon. But it's, you know, and the thing is, I've done it on multiple cars, but the thing is, I don't like, because I have the means to, I don't always like just going, oh, well, I know that works, so I'll use that, I'll try something different. So yeah, it's a bit of a minefield, but at the end of the day, like, we're here to help, and that's the biggest thing I stress, is it's not about me taking as much money off someone as I can, it's just about giving them the best advice so they spend their money once in the right places. But, you know, is what it is. But like I said, this is doing really well so far. I'm literally just finishing my revision on fuel, and I'm now moving to timing. So I've just added a couple of degrees lower down.
Try and knock that wonk out a little bit.
Literally between, I don't know, 20...
3.5 or 4.5?
Not even that, 2900, I think, and 4.6.
Okay, yeah, so it's literally just trying to combat that.
Yeah, it's the window I've put the timing in, so I'm now going to put some more timing in. And just kind of see where we end up. But yeah, we're going to do that and then quickly rip it again and
see what it does.
Yeah, see where we end up.
Okay, so that's done next to nothing, realistically, hasn't it?
Yeah, so the wheel horsepower is basically the same. There's a couple of bits that makes a hair less.
Heat though, innit?
But the transmission losses are less, which obviously means there is less transmission loss to add to the wheel horsepower to make the crank horsepower. So what I've done is I've gone back, I've left all my fuel changes the same. I've taken out all my timing changes because it's obviously less happy than it was, which is fine. I mean, we're not logging any knock, but obviously when we're tuning, if we're chucking in a couple of degrees and it makes no difference, take it back out.
Yeah, it's pointless.
Yeah.
It's pointless running it if it doesn't have benefit.
Exactly. So that's pretty much what I've done. I'm pretty much going to call the session there, really. I mean, we're making a consistent 220, 226 kind of area, 250 to 260 Newton meters. So I'm just going to have, obviously, a quick sweep through all the lower stuff. Obviously, the reason there's been less of a focus on steady state is because this is a track car, so it is literally going to spend its life at 100% throttle.
Yeah.
We did a load of setups for a company, or a motorsport company, and they were always saying, don't worry about how it drives, just as long as it's the full throttle stuff.
Yeah,
and
don't worry about city driving, it's not going to be doing it.
Yeah, I don't work like that. Like, it's not got to be crisp, but it's still got to be
drivable,
decent. Yeah, so I'm going to just have a sweep through all that, make sure that's all kosher. But to be fair, it's not been a bad session. I mean, it's kind of done what we wanted it to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's surpassed the owner's expectations. I mean, he was talking about having like 70 brake more, and he's now got nearly 100. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. Is kind of I get why, I mean, 200 brake would be plenty.
Oh yeah, for sure, for a fun track car.
We're not trying to lean on it to make this kind of power, which is really good.
It's just the power it has made. It is what it is.
So, but that's kind of my plan. I'm just gonna have a sweep for everything, make sure everything's nice. But it's been nice to get one that's kind of been
good, built right.
That's not what I was gonna say.
Proper.
I was gonna say
hassle-free, non-problematic.
Yeah.
Not done on a shoestring.
It's just nice to get one that
works.
Yeah, it's been done right, and and yeah, I mean, as we were saying yesterday, these guys are big petrol heads. I mean, Richard was showing me some pictures of some of the stuff he's been building. He's built like a twin booster engined Mini, maybe, or something, or he's doing a twin booster engine Mini. He's bought
pop Tesco's in yet.
He's done a load of what did he say he was buying? He was getting some like VFR 400 Hondas.
Yeah.
And effectively keying the engines together to make a mini V8.
Yeah.
To put in
one of these. He was talking about putting it in.
Yeah, just
crazy stuff.
Like proper crazy stuff that people just don't do.
Yeah.
But they have the machinery to be able to make and obviously the skill to make everything they need. And some of the stuff that he was like showing me, stuff they've been doing is like,
pretty cool.
It's ridiculous. So yeah, it's kind of it's just like I said, it's just nice to work with some people who genuinely enjoy cars.
Yeah, I mean that's a big thing, isn't it?
Together.
Yeah, no, that is a big thing. Is enjoying the cars. I think you can overlook a lot of things if the person you're talking to is similarly minded, and the fact that it's been done right as well just adds the cherry in it. So, cool. Yeah, okay, so in terms of filming, that's basically done then, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to wrap this up. Like I said, I'm going to go away and do some of the more boring stuff.
No one wants to see that.
No, trust me, I don't even want to be here doing it. That's a lie. I do enjoy what I do, but it's none of you want to see that because it is just tedious.
Boring. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm sure we'll see you soon with something else.